My name is Coach Tonde. I'm an HR practitioner and also a life coach and also a leadership coach. I have more than 15 years working experience as an HR practitioner. I've won a lot of awards, 8 times award winning career coach. I was the first runner up, and also in 2023, I also won a career coach award, and I was also given an HR leadership award, and also by the Zimbabwe CEOs Networks. I was also given an HR Exceptional Women Resources Award. And also maybe for my qualifications, I have a Bachelor of Science Honors in Human Resources Management. I have a Master of Science Honors in Human Resources Management. I also have a Master's in Business Administration. This is with the University of Milan, that is Italy. And also a Master's in Entrepreneurship by Catholic University and several diplomas and also certificates. It is my pleasure to give this knowledge to everyone who wants to hear about this. I know that maybe so many times, so many people they will be asking, is it possible to get a job, especially in Zimbabwe? Things are hard. Very few companies are recruiting. So how do you get a job? So it's a matter of attitude, and also it's a matter of persistence. I remember there was Napoleon Hill. He said, if you want to achieve anything, don't quit, don't give up. He said so many times, so many people they give up when they are about to achieve their goals. When they face temporary defeat, then they actually give up. So I just want to encourage everyone who's listening right now, don't give up on your goals. If you want to achieve anything in life, it is possible to achieve. The way that you see it, the way that you perceive it, and also the way that you look at those things will actually determine whether you're going to achieve that goal or not. So before we start this presentation, I want to give some people, or I want to give listeners, I want to give you an assignment. I want you to employ yourself as a hunter. I want you to look for a job. I'll give you some tips on how to look for jobs. Then during the next 8 months, you should be getting a job. There's nothing special about getting a job. I remember in 2023 and in 2022, I remember I was offered 3 jobs. Then I declined those jobs. The reason why I declined is I wasn't really serious about searching jobs. I was just testing my skills. So with the tips that I'm going to give you this evening, you're going to get a job, and if you're persistent and if you don't give up, and also if you face temporary defeat, and if you don't give up, then you're going to get a job. Maybe you can go to our first slide. I don't know if there are any questions or preliminary things that we need to discuss. All right, there is, I think there is a photo where there is a certain young girl. Just check the next slide. It's going backwards. But I can't see that photo. No, that's fine. Okay, maybe let's just go to our tips for job search. So when you're looking for a job, like what I said before, the first thing that you need to do is a matter of attitude. How do you see it and how do you perceive it? So if you have the right mental attitude, anything is possible. Anything is possible to a person who believes that you can achieve it. And also you need to have a burning desire within you. If you decide that I want to get a job during the next 6 months, the universe will actually assist you, see things coming in your way. I've realized one thing, that if you are thinking of something, then that thing will actually come to you. So if you have a burning desire, then definitely you are going to get a job. Then also the basic things that you need when you are applying for a job, you just need a basic email. Most jobs that people are getting, they are getting through emails. I remember when I was interviewed for a certain job, I applied through emails, then I was invited to the interview through email, then we did the interviews online, then I was offered a job online. So you just need a basic email, so that email will help you. There is a website that is called Vacancy Mail. I don't know if you have managed to get in touch with that or if you have registered for that. The Vacancy Mail, what it does is you register, and also you register for the jobs that you want to apply. So if there is any vacancy around in Zimbabwe, then you receive an email that will show you that there's a vacancy, then you apply. So nowadays things have changed. We're now in the technological age. So when you want to apply, you don't need to visit companies. You just need to apply, and also Vacancy Mail will actually do the work for you. Sorry, I can't see. Bring it closer. Right. Then the next thing that you need is you need to be intentional about your goals. So what you need to do is you need to set in your heart that I want to get a job. So if you're intentional about it, then you are going to get that job. So I've seen so many times, so many people, they are not intentional about getting jobs. When they're applying, they apply for a job today, then during the next 3 to 4 weeks, they will apply for another job. So when you decide to get a job, what you need to do, you need to search for those jobs. You need to be intentional about your goals. You say to yourself, during the next 6 months, I want to achieve that goal. If you are really intentional about that, then you're going to achieve that goal. And also, you need to be on social media. I've seen so many people, especially the LinkedIn, they just set up your profile there and also your qualifications. They also try to write something about your field. If you go also to my profile on LinkedIn, is Tonde. What I've done is I usually write some articles on HR. So what happens is like so many employers, when they are looking for jobs or potential candidates, what they do is they go to the profile, they see what you're doing there, the articles that you're writing, and also you'll be headhunted. And also the one thing that I've realized over time is if you're really marketable, you'll be headhunted. So you need to be on social media, you need to be on Twitter, that is now X, you need to be on Facebook, just post things about your field. And also you need to be a reader. I've told people that if you want to get a job, you need to prepare yourself. So what you need to do is just go to the adverts, just go to the newspaper every Sunday, just try to buy a Sunday mail, and also look for the jobs that are related to your field. Maybe you want to be an accounts clerk. So what you do is like you look for an accounts clerk position and also look at the job description. These are the roles and responsibility of that person. So what you do is just go through the job description and also look for the roles and responsibility that is expected of that person. So if you get the roles and responsibility, just read along those lines. And also you need to be a wide reader so that anytime that you're called for an interview, if it's a technical question, then you need to know that this question I'm actually going to answer it. So you need to be a wide reader, especially in your areas, and also you need to look for research materials, especially the latest research materials concerning your area. I've also told people that when you get a certificate or maybe a diploma, you need to be a specialist. So what you do now, you look for those skills that are actually being required by the market, then you specialize in those skills. Currently, I'm an HR practitioner, but I'm also a performance management specialist. That's my area. And also currently, I also want to specialize in HR metrics and also analytics. So those are my area of specialization. So we also need to do the same. If you're doing sales, you need to do, okay, maybe I'm doing sales, but maybe my area of specialization is now digital marketing. So you need to do that. And also you need to be visible. So many people, they have hibernate. You need to be visible, especially on the social media and also during social platforms. Talk about your field. You need to market yourself. Yeah, if you're not visible, then people will not be able to locate you. I've been talking to some students and I said, no, what you need to do, why can't you write maybe just some articles on a weekly basis? Just write about 10 articles, make people review those articles. Just go to maybe Sunday Mail or maybe to Fingers, talk to the editor. Then also they will publish your content. And if you do that, then you'll be marketable. You'll actually be headhunted. Then vacancy, I've talked about that. Then on social relations, you need to have social relations. Do you know that most people are getting jobs, they're getting jobs through social relations? They actually get to know that there is a certain job so through social relations. Talk to as many people as possible. When you go to church, talk to as many people as possible. When you go to social events, talk to as many people as possible, and also tell them that you are looking for a job. So through those social relations, you will also be able to get a job. I remember the job that I got at Caps, I was actually headhunted by my former boss. We were actually in talking terms, and he said, no, we have a vacancy, can you come through? And that's how I got the job. So the issue now is you need to have social relations with people, and also suppose you're coming from college, you don't have work experience, maybe you have attachment, but you don't have substantive work experience. What do you do now? You need to volunteer. Look for a rich uncle, look for someone who is an entrepreneur, and also volunteer to be maybe even in accounts department, to be an accounts clerk maybe for a year, don't get paid, don't worry about that. If you get experience, then you use that experience also as an opportunity. So try as much as possible to volunteer. Because if you don't have work experience, it will be difficult for you to get a job. So volunteer a position, then make impact in that position. We're going to talk about analytics and metrics later on how to come up with verb actions later on. So if you volunteer, make impact, and also be a hunter. If you want to succeed in job searching, you need to look for jobs. Make it your purpose, make it your job to look for jobs. I remember when I was looking for attachment, I was at MSU and I said to myself, no, I want to look for a job. So I would spend most of my time going into the CPD looking for jobs, and it was I said to myself, I need to look for jobs. Then I managed to get it. I managed to get an attachment. So it is possible to get jobs. I don't know if there are any questions on what we've said so far. If there are any questions on tips on job search.
Okay.
All right, no, that's fine. So let's go to the next presentation. All right, we want to talk about grooming and also deportment. There are certain things that you need to have, especially when you are going for an interview. The first thing that you need to have is your hair should be neat and also clean and well trimmed. I remember there was a certain interview that we went through. Then there's a certain guy who came through, not to discriminate Rastafarians, but the man came through with his Rasta, and also a certain lady came through with red hair. So it was not neat, it was not clean. People they say you cannot judge a book by its cover, but I want to tell you that a book will be judged by its cover. I remember when I was talking to some graduate trainees, we were doing some trainings, then I asked them if a person approaches you, maybe in the street, you're a lady, what do you consider first? He said, no, I would consider someone who is smart. I also look at the quality of shoes that they are wearing. I'll also look at the quality of clothes that they are wearing. So, in impression, it also makes the impression also makes a lot of things. So, what you need to do is you need to be well impressed, you need to be well groomed, you need to have your hair clean, smart, and well trimmed. And also make sure that your teeth are brushed and also your breath is fresh. I remember when we did some interview some time ago, the guy was well groomed, but there was bad breath that was coming from his mouth, and it was terrible. So it will also turn off the interviewers. And also try as much as possible to make sure that if you are ladies, then your nails are trimmed and also they are clean. And also just try to go easy on the makeup. Don't go to the extremes. And also we are saying we need to be smart when you're going to interview, but don't dress to kill. Don't kill people during the interview. Don't go to the extreme. So what you need to do is you need to have a simple dressing, and also when you are going to have the makeup, just make sure that the makeup is fine. And also no chewing of gums, eating candy, or smoking cigarettes during the interview. I've seen so many times someone is coming through the interview is eating a bubble gum, eating a candy. You don't do that during the interview. And also, you need to wear formal clothing. Those kana uchida kuti chako chinyatofamba pfeka hembe dzinokufita. So each people, this is what we're talking about. Wear formal clothing for men. For a man, we need a tie and a jacket, and also for the ladies, if it's possible, you need to come up with a suit because you are truly going to be judged by the book. And also, just wear deodorant. You need to smell good. I remember so many times, especially if you're coming for an interview, there is a law that we call the law of calamity. When you are going for an interview, you go to the commies. And you are late, you start to run, you start to sweat, then the armpits will begin to smell. So what you need to do is, I've always given people some tips. If you don't have maybe a roll-on, you can actually use soda. I remember when I was at college, I didn't have money, so I used to use soda, put soda in my armpits. And also, there's also a black soap that is called Protex. Protex black soap is very effective, especially when it comes to the armpits. So you just wear something that is smelling good. Don't overdo it, please. I said it before. Don't overdo anything during the interview. And also, if you have tattoos, try as much as possible to hide them because there is a perception. People, they'll always judge you by the way that you're looking and also by the tattoos that you have. So if you have any tattoos, just try to, as much as possible, to hide them. And if you don't have them, we recommend, I know people, they have a choice, we recommend that you don't have a tattoo. And also, which wear little or no jewelry during the interview session. So let us go to, and also pay attention to the shoes. You see those shoes to the right, they are not well polished. They give an image. So what you need to do is, when you're coming through to the interview, if you don't have good clothes or even don't have good shoes, just try to borrow from someone. I remember when I finished my attachment, I did it at Delta, Corner. Then I was called for an interview. I remember that time my clothes were stolen. I only had one shirt that was torn and one trousers that was torn out. And I went to that interview. It was a shame, and I lost that interview because of the way that I dressed. People, they always assume that if you dress well, then you're serious. So try as much as possible. If you don't have good clothes, try to borrow from friends and relatives. And also avoid loud and flashy styles and colors. Just try to be simple during the interview. I've seen so many times people, they will come through wearing a red shirt, yellow trousers, then white shoes. So try as much as possible not to wear flashy or the fashion that is out of this world, especially the colors. Just try as much as possible. If you're a man, maybe black suit, a gray suit, maybe a blue suit. Those colors, they are good. And also mind your body language. And also you need to come up with a body language that shows confidence and also competence. I remember there was an interview that I went through last year in December, that was 2023. When I got into the interview room, I got the shock of my life. There were 20 people there. There was a full board, and all the directors and the managers, they were there, and they were asking me questions. I remember that interview took me 1 hour 30 minutes. So what I did now, I used a psychological trick. So someone said, if you want someone to agree with you, when you talk to them, you need to nod your head. So if with the moment that they've asked me a question, I'll be nodding my head, showing that I'm very tentative and also I'm interested in the discussion. You also need to maintain an eye contact with the interviewers. And also just basic etiquette, you need to be punctual. Don't be late for the interview. If you're late for the interview, it shows that you're not serious for that interview. All right, let's go to statistics. I love statistics, metrics, and analytics. So these are the statistics. A single vacant gets an average of 250 applications. So what you need to do is, when a vacant comes through, especially if it's in the Sunday mail, you need to know that there are a lot of people that are going to apply for that job. So what you need to do now for you to get noticed, we are going to talk about that. I remember there was a time, especially the entry level jobs. I remember I placed an advert in the newspaper and I received, that was the general aim. We wanted someone with 5 O levels. I received 2,000 applications. So it was a hard task, and we managed to shortlist about 10 people that we wanted. So a single vacancy can get up to 250, even 500 applications. So we need to know that, and also we need to know how best are going to do it so that you can actually be shortlisted. Then also 35% of HR people reject CV if they have an unprofessional email address. You see that gentleman on my right, bedboy2023, bedboy23 at Gmail. Some they write sexy at gmail.com. So your email address will actually tell a story. Maybe the story might not be true, but like what I said before, a book will always be judged by its cover. So when you imagine someone writing an application and say bedboy at 23 at Gmail, so we always picture a bad boy. You remember, you see that guy to the left, that's a sign of a bad boy. So assume that you look like that. So try as much as possible to have a professional Gmail account. What we recommend is just have your initial and your surname, then you say at Gmail. For myself is Tonde Kandiwa. I will say teachkandiwa at gmail.com. That's it. Or I can say Coach Tonde at gmail.com. Don't write some funny email addresses because you're going to be judged for true. Then the other statistics here, 75% of CV don't qualify because of poor formatting, poor content, and lack of keywords. I'm going to talk about keywords. Nowadays, most HR people, they're now recruiting through artificial intelligence. You apply through a software, then the software will shortlist people based on keywords. So what you need to do is when you get an application or when you see an advert, you need to look at the content of the advert. There are certain keywords that they'll be looking for. Maybe from an HR perspective, maybe we want an HR officer. We need someone who's able to recruit and select. So recruitment and selection becomes part of the keywords. We need someone who will be able to train. So training becomes what becomes also the keyword. So what you're doing now, when you see those kind of keywords in the advert, you need to include them in your CV. We're going to talk about verb actions. The verb actions, they are very, very important. So what you need to do is you need to have a correct formatting and also have good content and also include keywords. Then in the average time an HR manager spends time on a CV 60 seconds. Remember, I said you can receive up to 2,000 applications, maybe 500 applications. So you have limited time. You also have other roles and responsibility to do. So you spend at least 60 seconds on each CV. So if you spend 60 seconds on each CV, there are certain things that you need to include on your CV that will be catchy. So we're going to talk about it later on. Then you see that gentleman, if there are ladies in the room, I would ask them if that man was a poor man and you're asked to meet that person, would you meet that man? Some people they would say no, I can't because of the time, the structure. So the structure is very, very important. So many times, so many people who get married, if you're not mature enough, they look at the structure of the person, then later on they regret. But the structure is important. I said people that are going to judge you by the cover. So the structure of your CV is very, very important. The way that you're going to structure it, it will actually ensure that maybe you are going to be shortlisted or not. So the things that you need to include personal details and contacts. I'm going to talk about that. Professional title, then the employment summary, work experience, qualifications, achievements, and also reference. These are things that you need to include in the CV. We'll talk about it later on as we progress. Then we talk about the title. So the title on the title of a CV, you need to come up with your full name. CV, you need to come up with your full name, maybe Tonde Kandiwa. Then also you need to put the title of the job that you're applying for. So you say, I remember as old method, they say CV for Tonde Kandiwa, that is old fashioned. So what you need to do is you need to come up with the title, Tonde Kandiwa, Human Resources Manager or Head Human Resources. That's the full name and also the current title. And also you need to put gender. This is optional. Some people they want to put their gender, but maybe there are certain vacancies where they say this is a male environment or female environment. Is discrimination is against the Labor Act, but people they do those things. So you need to put your gender and also your date of birth. It's very, very important. You also need to put your date of birth, although it's optional. But you see some jobs they actually indicate the type of age group that they are looking for. They will say we need someone who is less than 30. We need someone who is maybe 40 years and above. But for most jobs, you need to know that if you are 40 years and above, then you are no longer employable. So try as much as possible to manage your time. I was talking to some people and said, what you need to do in life, you need to manage time. When people talk about time management, they always think about managing time on a daily basis. No, but you need to manage your time. You need to manage your lifetime. There are certain things that are supposed to do at a certain time. When you're 16 years old, you're supposed to go to school. This is the time to go to school. When you get pregnant at 16, then you become a mother. You failed on time management. When you're at 24, maybe between 20 and 25, this is the time to go to school and look for a job and also to advance your education. So if you miss that time, then you're going to start your degree at 57. I remember there was a certain gentleman who came to me. He was very passionate. He was 57 years old, and he said that now I want to start my degree at 57. So I just said to myself, a degree will take 3 years. Then at 61 will be finished. Then 4 years later he's going to retire. So what's the purpose of that degree? So that person is actually missed time management. So you need to do certain things at certain time. Don't get frustrated. Remember, can you imagine someone who is a mother of 4 trying to write O level at 38? So whatever that you do, you need to manage your time well. All right. Also, there's a section of employment summary. I've seen so many times people they write on employment summary, they'll say a dedicated young lady who is passionate, so. That's fine, but it's not catchy. So what you need to do is on summary, you need to include metrics and analytics. You need to sell yourself. This is the opportunity to sell yourself. I said a CV, it is a tool where you need to market yourself. So you need to sell yourself. How do you sell yourself? You sell yourself through by quantifying your employment summary and also show that you're a high achiever. What do you need to include? You need to include your qualifications. We'll talk about qualifications later on, but I've seen so many times people they think that if they include a higher qualification, it will be an added advantage. Maybe in accounts click, they want someone with a diploma, someone is a master's and will include a degree, a master's, a current studies. I'm studying for a second master's. You threaten your boss, maybe your boss has a certificate or a diploma. Do you think that person is going to employ someone with a master's? You'll be a threat to that person. So what you need to know is when the job says we need a certificate, just include that certificate. And if they say a diploma is an added advantage, then also need to include the diploma. And also on the qualification, don't include irrelevant qualifications. I remember seeing a certain CV where we wanted someone in accounts clerk with a certificate in accounting. So someone wrote certificate in accounting, certificate in counseling, certificate in there was also a diploma in agriculture. Those qualifications are not relevant, so automatically you'll be disqualified. So if an advert says we need someone with a qualification, a diploma, just include that diploma. And also on the employment summary, you also need to include the number of years that you've saved and also the awards that you've received, the goals that you've achieved, the cost that you've set, the creativity that you've achieved, the products that you've sold. So this summary, like what I said, you have a title, Tonde Kandiwa, and also your title, your manager, HR manager. Then you also need to come up with a employment summary. You can say to yourself, a dedicated and committed HR manager with more than 10 years working experience, with maybe you've conducted maybe 200 interviews with a non-compliance rate of less than 5%. So what you've done is you've actually sold yourself. So we look at what the employer is looking for, the things that they're looking for. Then you need to include those things in your employment summary. Then also on your work experience. Work experience is very, very important. So someone might say, maybe I'm coming from college, I don't have work experience. What should I do? We need to include the work that you did on attachment. That is very, very important. So when you go for an attachment, you need to make things happen. Someone said there are three kinds of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. So when you go for attachment, you need to make things happen. You need to come up with achievements. You need to achieve certain things. I've seen so many times people, they go to attachment, they do great things, they do great impact, but they don't quantify their impact. Someone said many people, they don't quantify or they don't analyze, they don't do metrics about their lives. Suppose you go for an attachment, you are a sales rep, maybe you've sold 200 products, maybe during your attachment, maybe you've reduced costs, maybe you have increased the market share by 10%. So when you're including those in your experience, you need to quantify those things. Maybe I've managed to penetrate the market and increase maybe the market share for the organization by 15%. So those things, they need to be included. We'll talk about action verbs later on. So you need to use the reverse chronological order. Start with the current employer. If you're employed, start with the current employer. So we'll talk about what you're going to do there. Then also start with the recent position where you are employed. So for each entry, you need to include the job title. So if I employed somewhere, maybe you are volunteering, then you need to include what the job title. Then also you need to include the company name where you are currently working, the employment address, then dates, and also the roles and responsibility for that position. You need also to use action verbs and analytics. This one, it can never be overemphasized. Please, listeners, use action verbs and analytics. I wanted to ask a question. What is a verb? It's a doing word. So it should be the issue now. If it's a doing word, what were you doing during attachment? And what have you been doing maybe during the past 5 years as an employee? What have you been doing? So in terms of analytics, what have you achieved? What have you saved? If you are in sales, how many products have you saved? So you need to include that one in your CV. Then action verbs. We're talking about work experience. So what you do is on work experience, you put your title, where you're working, and also the employment dates, and also for the roles and responsibilities. I've seen so many times, especially maybe from a sales rep perspective, someone will be saying, in this current role, I do sales, I take orders. Then that's fine. That's very plain. But now we say, okay, if you're taking roles, maybe you're selling, you've been selling how many products? Maybe you've sold how many products during the last 5 years? I've sold 200 products with a value of 200,000, and I've also increased the market share by 10%. You need to include that in your what? In your CV. So the action verbs are saying these are words that describe the action that is taking place. You see that gentleman on the right is running, so you need to include those ones. So in the roles and responsibility, let's say, for example, you are in charge of a project or an initiative. How do you say that? You need to say administered. I've administered two projects with 500 people, and we managed to get an income of 200,000. Arranged. You can talk about I've arranged such a project in so many countries. You need to put statistics. You have chaired, you have coordinated, you have directed. So these are the things that you need to include in your roles and responsibilities. What I will do is, after this presentation, I'm going to give Coach Allen a sample CV where I'm going to see the things that I'm talking about. So suppose you have developed something, or you have created something, or you've introduced something during attachment or during your employment. You need to come up with action verbs such as built, created, designed, developed, devised. Okay, you can say I've developed a system, maybe in an accounting department. You say I developed an accounting system that managed to reduce cost by 20%. These are the things that you need to include in your CV. But so many times people, they don't include analytics, they don't include metrics. So if you don't do that, you become ordinary, and your CV will also become ordinary. So suppose now during your attachment, or maybe during your current employment, you have managed to change or improve something. So when you are given an opportunity to work, I remember reading the book by J.S. Clarkson, The Richest Man in Babylon. I think it was the 8th chapter or the 9th chapter, where it says, a man in the work, you must be one thing. You must be someone who is determined to work. You must love your work. So when you get an opportunity to go for an attachment, when you get an opportunity to work, you need to produce results. You need to have impact. My consulting firm is called People Impact. You need to have impact on your job. So when you're given a task, don't worry. I see so many people, they always worry about tasks. You need to volunteer to doing things, and also you need to be in charge of things. So when you're given an opportunity to work, produce results, come up with the analytics, come up with statistics that you also be able to include in your CV. So when you're in charge or you improve something, you need to include the following words in your CV on roles and responsibility: customized, digitalized. Maybe you came through and you saw that the organization was not well digitalized, then you introduce something that is digital. I introduced digitalized so system, and you managed to save cost by so many percentage. And also maybe you can also quantify the cost. Integrated, merged, modernized, modified, overhauled, redesigned. So these are the words that you also need to include in your CV. When you have achieved something, I know that everyone has achieved something in life. When you go to work, you've achieved something. People, they don't know that, maybe you don't know maybe that you've achieved something. Suppose maybe this is a training that I'm doing, then I need to put it in my CV. What do? I say maybe I've trained 10 people or maybe 20 people, then with a satisfaction rate of 20%. This is the roles and responsibilities. Just instead of saying I just trained people, we need to quantify the number of people that you've trained, and also the satisfaction rate. What was the satisfaction rate? Maybe it was 90%, 95%. And also, if you've done the training according to the standard of operating procedure, you said I did my training of 200 people, and with a compliance rate of 99%. These are the things that you need to watch to. Maybe the other way is completed. And your own attachment, maybe at work, then you've been given a task and you've completed. I know that during attachment, you have been given so many assignments, so many things to do. When you complete a task, you need to quantify that task. So we say completed such a task, and you also qualify. You demonstrated, finished, and exceeded, outperformed. So these are the things that you need to include in your CV. Then we want to talk about the action, verb, task, and metric. So when you're writing the roles and responsibilities on your CV, the current things that you're doing, you need to tackle the issue of the verb, the action verb. Remember what I said before. You have attained, maybe you have completed, you have demonstrated, you have finished certain projects, isn't it? So you need to include a verb and also the task that you were told to do, and also the metrics that is the figure. I want you to look at this, the one that I've designed here. This person is including this in his or her CV. He said, I've hired, I've trained, I've led. Those three words, those are action verbs. Hiring is an action. Training is an action. Leading is an action. So you need to include the verbs. Sales people of 50 plus. So this person, he hired people, he trained people, and he led a sales team of 50 people. So you need to include those numbers. To make sales calls. So he had these people to make sales calls, to visit clients, and also to generate deals, and generated 1.2 million in sales over a period of 3 months. So how do you write this now in your CV? You say, I've hired, trained, and led a sales team of 50 plus people to make sales calls and visit clients and close deals, generated 1.2 million in sales over a period of 3 months. These are the things, when you write them in your CV, people realize that you are not an ordinary person. And also, we're going to talk about interviews. You're going to also need to include these things. You need to include the verb, task, and the metrics in your CV. Suppose now you've trained, maybe in my case, I've trained maybe more than 600 people over maybe during the past 10 years. Maybe people, they were satisfied with my trainings. How do I state that in my CV? Maybe I want to become an HR director. I will say, I've trained 600 plus people on performance management over a period of 2 years with a satisfaction rate of 95%. So I've included the verb. The verb here is train. What was I doing the task? It was performance management. And what was the metrics? 600 people over a period of 2 years with a satisfaction rate of 95%. So these are the things that you need to include in your CV. Then also the issue of qualification. If you see that gentleman on the photo there, that person is a tailor. I remember when you're growing up, unana mama, watengerwa matrousers uti grade 1 up to grade 7, around tailor. Then the tailor will actually fix that trousers so that it can suit me. So the same thing, you need to do it on your CV. I've seen people with one generic CV, and not one CV, and they will use that CV to apply for 10 jobs. It does not work that way. What you need to do is you need to have a template of your CV. Then you need to tailor make each CV for each application. How do you do it? You go to your advert, you go to the advert, and you look for the roles and responsibilities that they are looking for, the skills that they are looking for, and the qualifications that they are looking for. Then what you need to do now, you need to tailor make your qualifications, you need to tailor make your experience so that it might be able to suit the job that you are applying for. And also, if you do those things, and if the keywords, I talked about the keywords, just look at the job description, what they are expecting that person to achieve. So take those keywords and also include them in your CV. So you need to tailor make your qualification so that it won't be a one size fits all. If it becomes one size fits all, you will be surprised that you will be applying. I know that so many people, they've applied for so many jobs. Now apply my jobs, 200 jobs, but you don't get a single response. Why? Because it's the approach that you're using. I remember there was a time when I went to Muhammad Musa. So there is a direction where you'll be coming from the other side and you'll be going to the Ahmad Musa facing the charge office. So it's a one way, so you need to use the other entrance. So what I did now, I talked to a certain guy, no, I want to park my car. And, I want to go the other side, but there's traffic jam. What do I do now? And he said, no, don't worry. What you need to do, I'll tell you a strategy. It was a strategy that I was told. So what you need to do also, you need to use a strategy. When you're applying for a job, you need to use a strategy. So on issue of qualifications, you need to tailor make your qualifications. Not all qualifications are supposed to be on your CV. I remember where I'm currently working, we're looking for someone with a certificate and also some O levels for a certain position. So some people, their degrees, what they did is they stated a degree in office management or degree in management, a diploma in so and so, then 2 A levels and also 5 O levels. But we wanted someone with just 5 O levels. So they included all those qualifications. What we did, we disqualified those people because they were overqualified. Remember, this is the industry. The supervisor maybe has 3 O levels, has 5 O levels, but he has a lot of experience. And you are a degree holder and you're applying for that position, immediately you become a threat. You're overqualified for that position. So what you need to do is you need to tailor make your qualifications so that it suits the job. So I saying here, irrelevant qualifications consumes time and overwhelms the potential employer. The employer will not spend most of his time or waste time on a qualification that is not relevant. So it leads to disqualification. So please take note of that. Then there's the issue of reference. Who is a referee? So many times when people write their CV, they talk about a reference. Some they say reference is give reference as requested. They don't put references. So what you need to do, you need to put a reference. So a referee is someone who can answer questions about your work, your history, your qualifications, your skills, and work ethic. So what you need to do when you're writing your CV, you need to come up with references or the referees. These are the people that you've worked with. I've seen so many times when people they go for attachment or when they leave job, they don't ask for reference letters. That's the time that you need to ask for reference. I always talk about retirement. I say the best time to prepare for retirement is your first day at work. The first day that you start working is the first day that you're going to start preparing for retirement. And also when it comes to reference, the best time to get a reference is the day that you're going to leave employment. Suppose you're on attachment, you want to go back to college, we need to ask for reference, and also need to talk to your immediate superior and tell them that, no, I want you to be my referee. This is my CV. Give them your current CV, and they'll give you all their details. I've seen so many times. I remember I was called by a certain organization. They wanted a reference of a certain lady in the quality assurance department. That lady had not talked to me. He just put me as a reference. When they called me, I could have said no. That person did not come to me for reference check, so I can't give the reference. But I had to cut the call and I said, no, can I come back to you? Then I talked to the person. I said, no, what you need to do, if you want to make me a reference, you need to talk to me, give me your CV, so that at least when I'm giving a reference, it will be based on facts. So reference, you need to include the name of a person, don't write your job title, HR manager there, then company name, caps, and also email address and telephone number. And also in terms of etiquette, ask for permission and give them a copy of your current CV. All right, if you have any questions, maybe just write them, then we'll answer them later. Then you want to talk about interviews. So now I've been called for an interview. What do you need to do? How do you answer questions? During an interview, I've seen that it's possible to answer any question and also succeed in those questions. I will talk about the STAR strategy, the STAR strategy that you can use to answer any question. All right, how do you prepare for an interview? This is very simple. You start by researching the name of the company. So what you need to do is just do a research on the name of the company, where they are based, their mission, their vision, the products that they produce, and also just go to their current financial statements and also see how they are performing in the market. If it's Econet, just see their capital the capital that they have, and also maybe the market share that they have, or the mission, the vision of that company, and also read the interview questions and answers booklet. There are so many interview questions and answers booklets on the internet. Just read them, and also read the job description for the position. So what the job description, it is a document that shows the roles and responsibility of a potential incumbent, the person who's going to perform that job, especially on the advert, they put a job description. So just go through the job description, look for keywords and also what they're expecting from that person, and also read along those lines. And also find a friend in practice to answer possible interview questions. I remember for me, my wife, she's my friend. So what I do is, if I'm called for an interview, I'll give her questions, potential questions, then we'll start the interview, especially in the morning. We do it in the morning for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, Then I'll go into interview fresh and also refreshed. So what you need to do, just to prepare and practice, and also prepare formal clothing the night before the interview. There's what we call the law of calamity. The law of calamity says when things go bad, they will actually go bad. If you say I'm going to iron my clothes in the morning, I'm going to say this happen, and those things they happen. I don't know how they happen, but they do happen. So what you need to do day before, just prepare for everything. Just iron your clothes and prepare your everything, and also be on time. And also, like what I've said before, time alokwenda unokwira kombi. Yakwira kombi, also on the 10 minutes to escape venue, then kombi so when mapolisa. So what you need to do, just prepare everything the night before the interview. Then carry copies of your CV, your certificates, and notebook, and also a pen. And also you need to arrive 10-15 minutes earlier. This shows that you are really committed. And also at the interview venue, treat everyone you meet with respect. I've seen so many times people, they don't greet people in the corridors. Maybe that person is the HR manager who's going to interview you. Maybe it's the CEO who's going to interview you. So the issue of etiquette, greet everyone that you meet at the venue. And also during the interview, respond truthfully to the questions that you are asked. I remember I learned the hard way some time ago. I was called for an interview. Actually, it was an online interview. I learned that I don't want people to follow what I did during that time, but maybe I can explain these things so that you can actually learn from me. So that job, it was actually supposed to be in Zimbabwe and Zambia. So I was supposed to double up in Zimbabwe and Zambia. Then it was based in Vic Falls. So an interviewer asked me, have you done a research? How many children do you have? And I said, I have 3 children. Have you done a research on the schools that are available in Zambia or in Zimbabwe? And I said, yes. And I said, and he said, which school? And I said, Livingstone Primary School in Victoria Falls. And they said, no, Livingstone Primary School is not in Vic Falls, so you are lying to us. So everyone was switched off because I lied. So you need to be very, very truthful. Don't ever lie during what? During the interview. And also keep your answers concise and focused. Don't tell people. We'll talk about another question. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. People, they talk about their life story. I did my grade 7 at this school. I did my Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. So what you need to do, you need to summarize you need to summarize your achievements. We'll talk about that later on. When you're talking about you're talking about that, there is the STAR approach. Whenever you are asked a question during the interview, you need to use the STAR approach. So the first thing, if you're asked a question, answer that question, but just give a scenario. You need to give a situation, and also in that situation, you need to talk about the task that you were given. You need to talk about the action that you did. You need to talk about the outcome of that action. So whatever question that you're going to be asked, especially the technical jobs, how do you manage conflict? That's a question that will be asked. Then you need to give a scenario. You need to give a task, you need to give an action, you need to give a result. I was asked that question, and then I said, I remember there was a time, how do you manage conflict within an organization? I said, no, you manage conflict based on the source of the conflict. Just look, use the doctor's approach of diagnosis. You need to see the reason why there is a conflict, and you need to resolve it from that perspective, whether it's communication, whether it's maybe sharing of scarce resources. And I also gave them a situation whereby there were 2 people who were actually in conflict. There was a matron. That time I was working at the hospital. There was a matron and a subordinate. There was a conflict, continuous conflict between those 2 people. Then we tried to find the source of the conflict. We realized that the head of the nursing department, at one time, she was a subordinate to the current manager. So there was always a conflict. And when this subordinate was promoted, you can imagine a nurse being promoted to become the matron or the principal nursing officer, and we have a matron. So that was the source of the conflict. So I gave a scenario, that was a situation, and I also gave a task, and I also talked about how I managed to solve that problem and also the result. So that's what you need to do. Most questions, just go to the STAR approach. If you don't have work experience, no problem. What you do is we talk about a situation that happened during your attachment. We talk about a situation that happened at school. We talk about a situation that happened at church, how you managed to solve that kind of a conflict. So that's what you need to do. You need to use the STAR approach. So let's just look at some of the interview questions that will be asked. There is one question that will be always be asked during any interview. One of them this question on what's the moment interview. And so the first question, tell us a little bit more about yourself. People they go to town with this. They talk about their background, the number of children that they have, where they went to primary school, secondary school, the qualification that they have. Those things that are in your CV. Most of those things are in your CV. So they don't ask things that are in your CV. Most of the things we're going to talk about it, but mostly what they are trying to ask you is just market yourself. Why do you qualify for this position? So you need to talk about metrics, what you have achieved, analytics, what have you achieved, the tasks that you have done. On this one now, what you need to do, you need to go on the job description and look for the kind of things that they are looking for, the type of responsibilities that they are looking for, and also the type of skills. So the interviewer is not looking for a life story or your grade 7 results. And also, if the interviewer is giving you an opportunity to pitch, you need to sell yourself. So the maximum time that we give to this question is 2 minutes. Yes, you need to summarize and market yourself within the next 2 minutes. Introduce yourself, your name, your qualifications and experience. Mention 2 or 3 achievements that are relevant to the job that you're applying for. So you need to express or tell people that you are a problem solver. People are not recruiting so that you can come through and give them problems. They're looking for someone who's able to bring solutions. So what you need to do, you need to talk about your achievements in terms of responsibilities. And also, don't take awards and accolades for granted. Maybe if you're a coach, what you need to do is just try as much as possible to work very hard so that at least you can get an accolade. You can also get an award. You can use that award as what is an achievement. And also during your attachment, maybe you finished attachment, maybe you're working somewhere. Try as much as possible to come up with achievements. We're not talking about extraordinary achievements. No, just basic achievements. I remember when I joined a certain organization, I would spend most of my time at the labor court, at the high court. I would spend my time at the National Employment Council trying to solve dispute between the employer and the employer. I was actually an industrial relations manager. I was actually focusing on the dispute between the managers and the employees. So what I did now, I look for the source of the conflict. And I realized that no, people they were not aware of the code of conduct. They are not aware of the rules. They were not aware on how to charge people. There were no standard of operating procedure. What I did is now I came up with a policy document. If you go for an attachment, just try to see whether the organization it has a policy. If they don't have a policy, introduce a policy. That's an achievement, a great achievement. You can actually get a lot of policies from the internet. You just download and tailor make it to the organization. So these are the things, basic things that you need to do. Do they have the standard of operating procedure, the SOPs? The SOPs, they are everywhere on the internet. So what you need to do, if they don't have an SOP, just try as much as possible to come up with SOPs. So you realize that when you come with those things, when you do those things, those are achievements that you actually put on what? On your CV. So you need to do that. So what I did, I looked at the source of the conflict. I came up with a policy, with the SOPs, and I trained managers and we reduced the number of disciplinary hearings. If a manager comes through with a case, I realized I said, no, this one this person can't go for a hearing. Why can't you talk to the person? Why can't you reconcile? So we reduced the number of hearings by 90%, and it was actually a cost saving. So you can put that on your CV. So during attachment, you need to do that. So tell us about yourself. Let us look at this simple answer. He's saying here, my name is Tonde. I worked for a business. I worked as a business analyst for 5 years. We're talking about metrics now. You need to put figures. I worked as a business analyst for 5 years at Delta and Econet. I had some background in data analysis, having studied information systems at MSU. At Delta, I led a project for migrating all operations data to a new data warehouse system and to cut down the cost. The new solution was much better fit for our business, which eventually led to the savings of up to 200,000 annually. That's the introduction. Done. 2 minutes are done. So we are showing that you are someone who brings solutions. Most of the information they are on the CV. If they want any other information, they will actually ask you more questions on the interview. So this is the first question that you need to answer. Then the other question now that is common, tell us about your strength and weaknesses. Strength, no problem. Weaknesses now. We don't want you to lie, but also we don't want you to expose yourself. You stammer and you say, what's your weakness, your biggest weakness? And you say, I stammer. You're a marketing person. You're supposed to be maybe the head of communication. So what you need to do, there are certain things that you can't declare during the interview. So don't mention your flaws during an interview. And also what you need to do when you talk about weaknesses, we need to talk about a weakness that actually brings strength. That is actually disguised as a strength. So what you need to do on this one, when you're answering this question, the employer is actually seeking to learn whether you have the right skills for the job, and also is trying to see whether you have any weaknesses that can actually prejudice that can actually be a prejudice to the organization. Also, talk about previous weaknesses. Suppose maybe you're not a good speaker. You talk about maybe, I can say maybe I used to be a stammerer, or maybe I wasn't good at speaking. Then I went to the Toastmasters Club. I'm now a speaker, and I'm now able to speak well. So talk about your previous weakness and how you've managed to overcome that weakness. Present a strength as a weakness. Just come up with a strength. I'm a workaholic. It's a strength, but actually you can actually present it as a what? As a weakness. It's a strength, but you can actually present it as a strength. All right, let us look at this sample now. The sample answer. You say my biggest weakness has always been verbal communication skills, but don't say this if you're applying for a job that requires you to speak. But maybe you realize this one is a programmer. There are certain jobs that you don't have to speak a lot. You say my biggest weakness has always been verbal communication skills. I've been pretty shy and anxious as a kid, and over the years, however, I've been working on the issue through the Toastmasters Club. At this stage, I am much better than that I ever before. This, however, won't be any impact or prejudice to my current job as a programmer. So that's we've talked about the weakness. We talk about the previous weakness, and also how we have managed to overcome that weakness, and also try to pick a weakness that does not have an impact on your current job. You are an accountant and you're told about the weakness. You say, I'm not good at figures. People they say that this many weekend is not possible to employ that person. So just try as much as possible to avoid that. All right, let us look at another question. Why should we hire you? The question is, why are we hiring you? Why should we hire you ahead of other candidates? The real question is, how do you sell yourself without being arrogant, without being desperate, and also being needy? One, don't be arrogant during the interview. Don't be desperate during the interview. And also don't show a needy during the interview. If you show those three attributes, then you most likely won't get the job. If you show that you are really desperate, you won't get the job. So the general point that you need to mention, why should we hire you? You need to talk about how passionate you are about working for the organization, what you're going to bring to the organization, and also the skills that fit the requirements. Look at the job description, what they are looking for, and also tell them how your skills fit the requirements, and also how you've managed to solve that problem maybe during the past, and also how you are going to help the company solve their existing problems. You need to come through as a problem solver. Well, let us look at the simple answer. You say, well, as a start, I have the skills and I have the work experience required for the job. You need to talk about the skills that you have and also the experience. I have worked as a sales rep for 5 years. This is analytics. And over the past 2 years, this is analytics again. And I've closed several deals totaling up to 500,000. So as a sales rep, if there's someone out there who is going to be a sales rep, if you're on attachment, just try as much as possible to come up with the figures. We are working as a team, maybe a part of the team, you've managed to make sales, maybe you've made sales of 1 million, 1.2 million. You need to state that also in your CV. I was part of the team that penetrated the market and we gained a market share of 10%, and we increased sales from 200,000 to 1.2 million. You need to indicate that. Then the other question that comes through, what are your salary requirements? So this question is very tricky, and if you don't answer it well, you might lose a job, a potential job. Then the first thing, we are not lying, but don't expose yourself. We are saying we are not worried about salary. We know everyone is worried about salary, but now you need to tell them that you are not worried about money. What you need is exposure, and you need to solve problems within an organization. Also, what you need to do is look at the organization, how it is performing, and also the problem that the organization is actually facing. We know Telesale currently is lying idle, isn't it? So you are called there as a marketing person. You are you are asked about the salary. You're not worried about salary. You said, no, I'm not worried about salary. I'm worried about how we can how we can get back Telesale to the market, isn't it? So, and also know the average salary for someone of your skill. What you need to do, sometimes you tell them, no, I'm not worried about salary. What I need is experience and exposure. But some they will say, just tell us a figure. Don't tell them a figure. Just give them a range. You do your research. Maybe you realize that maybe a clerk is earning between 300 and 600. 300 being the lowest and 600 being the highest. So you said, no, I need any salary range between $300 and $600, but I'm comfortable with any amount that is within the range, and I'm also open to negotiation. You need to leave room for negotiation, and also you need to know how much how much the company is paying for that level of skill. So try as much as possible to get some intelligence on the organization, and also get as much information as possible on the salary levels. Most of the employees, they are NEC graded employees, and the salaries are public. So just try as much as possible. If it is Econet, maybe they are under the NEC for telecoms, and you realize that this job is in NEC grade 5. Just look for the NEC grade 5, you see the salary, then give them a range. And also, you need to know how much you're getting paid in your current employment. What we can say, currently I'm being paid $300, but I'm flexible. Anything between $300 and $600 will do. All right, this is what we've done for tonight. I don't know if there are any questions, Coach Alan, any questions that people have asked that you can answer?
Yes, some were asking questions online. So someone was referring to the previous presentation on CV writing.
Yes.
So the question is on the references. Should the referees be specifically from the field in which you are applying for, or they could be from they could be from a totally different field?
All right, what you need, the basic rule, the basic principle of reference, you need to put someone who is your immediate superior, someone who is acquainted with you, how you're performing. Some they put HR people, but if you are a real HR person, you realize if someone doesn't put their immediate superior, these people they get a story to tell. So the basic rule is just try as much as possible to put either immediate superior, the head of department, and the last option, the HR person.
Okay. I think though that is the only question that was asked on our online platform. I don't know from those who are present, are there any questions that you may need to ask Coach or pertaining the CV writing or the interview part of the presentation?
Okay, I just want some clarity, maybe in terms of when you were saying that achievement, sometimes you experience what you've achieved at the previous work or previous job which you were working at. And sometimes we share like saying I'm an accounting student, but also I've achieved something which is like out of maybe socially, maybe coaching awards or something. How do I best express? Is it necessary to include those so that they can say that apart from maybe technical ability, someone also possesses sort of some soft skills or social which can make them competent as well.
All right, you need to go to the tailor. So what you need to do is just try as much as possible. If it's a award that maybe it's not relevant to the job that you've applied for, but just try to go to the job description, then and see where you can actually fit that achievement. It's possible. You can actually look for the job description and also what they are looking, the kind of person that they are looking for. Just try as much as possible to fix it somewhere where it becomes relevant. When you see that it's not really relevant and you still think maybe it can have an impact on you, you can put it under achievements, a section under achievements. career coach of the year, social coach, something like that. But maybe the advice that I can also do is you do your coaching, try as much as possible to also to do your coaching in line with your profession also. I'm a natural practitioner, a natural person, I'm a career coach. I'm also a life coach and also leadership coach. But when I do my CV, usually I do this is part of my career coaching, isn't it? It will also come through in my CV. Yeah, I led like 25 people with satisfaction rate. I can ask you, are you satisfied? You say yes. Okay, satisfaction rate of 95%. You can also include digital one in my CV.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll leave the room for more questions for those who have got questions.
Yes.
Okay, coach. For instance, you apply for attachment. Let's say it's your first time applying for internship, and then like nowadays you're applying online and you don't get any response, and maybe you applied nice, maybe to 25 companies also. So how best do you check up on the HR without looking desperate and without also bothering them like but for instance you've done all that you said and it's in place and it's your first time and you want to just check up with you guys stand it. Did you see my things? Should I proceed with applying somewhere else or I can wait on you guys? How best do you go back to them, or we're saying you just apply, forget about it?
Yeah, most HR practitioners right now they are very unethical. They don't respond. But some they do respond. But sometimes imagine someone getting maybe 500 applications. So it's very impossible to respond to each and every application. But now I will just use the philosophy of author I'm following you. He said, when you're doing something, when you face temporal defeat, when you think you're getting discouraged, don't give up. Just continue. So what you need to do, you need to use the law of averages. Yes. Maybe you're applying for 10 jobs. You're applying for 10 jobs, but maybe your job in terms of lining is the ninth job, isn't it? So you apply for this one, you don't get success, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, then you get to the ninth. So what you need to do, when you apply, you realize that everything is in order. Don't get discouraged, keep on applying, keep on applying. You can imagine someone, a HR manager, receives 600 applications, they want one person. And also the other trick that you need to do is the first time that you get or that you see an advert, you need to apply within 30 minutes. Isn't it? So you need to apply within 30 minutes. Because you say the advert, you say maybe the deadline is in 2 weeks' time. But what we usually do is when we get maybe an average of 50 applications, we'll just scroll through, we shortlist 10 people. So what you need to do, just be the first person to apply. Don't apply 2 weeks later or maybe 48 hours later. Just apply within the 30 minutes when you see the applicant. Also, try as much as possible to have your CVs ready in Word format. So that at least when you get there, when you receive the application, you edit, then you submit the application. But the thing is, don't give up. Usually, I'll give an example of what I did last year. I was just trying to test my whether I was still marketable in the market. I always tell people that if you're employed, don't relax because you can lose a job anytime. So just try as much as possible to apply. So I said let me just try to apply for this job. Then I applied. I said, no, within 6 months, I wanted to get jobs. So I remember that time, I applied for 60 to 70 jobs. And I was shortlisted for, I remember I applied in May. Then I was called for an interview in December. And then I got the results interview in February. And I had to pass that interview. So that's what happens. So don't give up. And also when you face temporary defeat, don't quit. Yes.
Okay, the room is also still open for questions. Yes.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, Coach. It's a very informative and eye-opening presentation. So I got two questions. The first one is on the issue of references. You said that usually somebody should approach his or her immediate boss. Uh, these days, some people will talk of issue about maybe jealousy or those kind of issues. Let's say you're not in good books, but I'm talking about a situation whereby somebody's just jealous, maybe you're overqualified, maybe you're what, or maybe sometimes they don't even want you to go because you're well skilled. They've got all the skills and you work hard. Some of them want to keep you. How best can you talk to your boss and tell him that, remember sometimes maybe just about 3 or 4 of you, maybe in a certain department, and you're the best achiever. And the boss knows that the moment when you leave, everything else is no longer in order. That's point number one. How then will you talk to your boss and let him know that we want to put him on the references or on your CV. Then,
So let me just answer that one.
okay.
So what you need to do, the basic rule is when you're applying, don't put the current employer as a referee. You need to put previous employers. But we have some situations where I've seen so many times there's always conflict within organizations, especially if you're a high flyer, high achiever. The moment that you show that you want to move out of the organization, there's always conflict. So the basic rule is either you go to your HR person, you actually outline your career path. It is always good to, when you start employment during the first months, you need to outline your career path to the HR or to the media superior. My desire or my career path, I want to do this, I want to go to school, I want to do that and do that. So that when you talk to your HR person, they will really understand. But to media superior, the basic rule is to your current employer, don't give references to the media superior. They will spoil everything. Yes.
All right, thank you for that. Then the second question is on you talked about tailor making your CV in almost every application that you do. What about a situation where maybe you experience and maybe the previous job description does not kind of match with the new job that you want to do? How do you also tailor making so that the next would be similar?
All right. So if you look at the things that you need to tailor make, one, these are the roles and responsibilities, the skills, and also the qualifications. You need to tailor make those three. So what you need to do is just look at the job description. You will find a point somewhere, somehow. Just look at the job description. Because usually the job description, they have about up to 10 the roles and responsibilities. So what you need to do, you need to analyze all those things, and also the keywords, and also some things that are aligned to you, and also put those things. But if you realize that no, worst case scenario, there's nothing that is matching, you become a chance. You just put it, then you send it through. But one, if you miss it on job description, your current roles are not in line with that. Just try to tailor make the skills. Because I know that all of us here, we have a lot of skills. Maybe communication skills, computer skills, whatever skills that you have. Just try to look for the skills that they're looking for and also put them. And also on the qualification, just look at the qualification that they have and also try as much as possible to do it. So just those three aspects, roles and responsibilities, the skills, and also the qualification. And if you see that you can't qualify, then the base I would recommend don't apply. Yes.
Then on the issue of the qualification, I think you said that you don't have to put, let's say they want somebody with 5 levels, then for a degree.
Yes.
Maybe for, is it actually legally correct
All right.
to put your qualification in something like that?
Well, we use technicality. You don't disclose. You don't disclose. A job needs someone with a certificate of 5 levels and you have a degree or a diploma. What you do is you don't disclose. But during the interview, when you're asked now to disclose, you need what? You need to disclose. Yes. You can say you're not lying, but you're not you're not mentioning what the other qualifications that you have. If there are any other questions.
Okay, if there are any other questions, if there are any other questions from the guys joining us online, please do share on the info messages. I'll ask coach the questions, and also if there are any questions from the guys that have physically come here, you may ask Coach any question pertaining to the presentation that you have done. Any more questions? Okay, it seems as if from our online there are no questions, and from the guys joining us physically there are no questions. So I'll leave for the closing remarks from Coach. Then we'll end our session for today.
All right. I just want to say that yeah, there is one thing that will help you actually to get a job. Just believe in that you are able to do it. The universe will help someone who is trying to do something. I remember there was a time when I wanted to buy my first car. So I saw a particular car, the Toyota Vesis, and I said, this is a good car. I will need this kind of a car. But one thing that I realized, I was always thinking of that car. When I got into the streets, I was always seeing that car. I never realized those cars, there were so many cars. What was that? It was the law of attraction. What you think about, it will always come closer to you. So what if you are looking for jobs? You need, when you are looking for a job, one, when you read a newspaper, you need to look for a job. You must have an eye for a job. When you're on social media, you need to have an eye for a job. During your social interactions, talk about your vision of getting a job. If you do that, you are going to get a job very, very soon. What I'll do is I want to give someone a task here. If you are looking for any job, just set your target. Maybe things are hard and things are tough, but I want to give you a target of 12 months. This is 2023, 2024. This is May. We are all actually in June. From now until next year, the first thing that you need to do, you need to tailor your CV. Just make it modern. Then also try as much as possible to write something on your LinkedIn. Just try to write something on your LinkedIn. And also when you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, try as much as possible to try to connect with the relevant and the right people. Just connect with the CEO. Social media platforms, this is an opportunity where you get to meet even high profile people one-on-one. Just connect with the CEOs, just connect with the directors, with the managers, even the HR managers. And also go to their inbox. It's just write them a text. My name is so and so. I have this qualification. I'm looking for opportunities. If you get hold of any opportunities, and also you need to get to a club, join a club. Someone said join a club. If it's a Toastmasters club, if it's a coaching and mentoring club, just try as much as possible to interact with people and also tell them your vision. You're looking for a job. You realize that there are so many jobs that are out there and people they don't know about those jobs. If you go to maybe golfing or any social activity, try as much as possible. Atamarara said to and just pick up that call, just call the CEO. And when you go to a function, you see that there is a minister there. Just go, just and go and greet the minister, talk to him, and also forward your request. You don't die. And so just try as much as possible. During the next six months or one year, just do those things. And also subscribe to vacancy mail. Just go on Google, just say vacancy mail and subscribe. They'll give you every job that is relevant to you. They'll send it on email. Then try as much as possible to apply. And I will tell you, you are going to get response. And also, like what Napoleon you said, when you face temporal defeat, don't give up. When you apply 100 applications, when you apply through email, you don't lose anything. When you don't get response, just make your CV, apply again, and I tell you that you're going to get response. And also, if you go for an interview, and if you fail the first time, don't give up. Continue trying, and also don't forget to pray. The word of God says, commit whatever thou doest to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. Ask God. Tell him that you want a job. Remember what happened to Joseph. Joseph was promoted to the highest position in Egypt without qualification, no experience. God does wonders, and also it is my wish that you also do wonders to you during the 2024 and 2025 job searching season. Thank you, viewers. Thank you very much, Coach Alan, and also to Master Coach Nuri. Also want to thank you for this opportunity.